right, music is set. So I'm going to come back to start the yoga, and we're going to start off in a meditation. Okay, so let's come to a comfortable seated position. If you want, you could start off just crisscross applesauce. If you'd like, you can come into a half lotus. And if you're coming into a half lotus, you might start off here where it's just ankle to knee, knee to ankle. It's actually called four pose. But this is the start of how we begin to bring the foot back into the hip flexor and sit in that lotus pose. If you could do full lotus, go right ahead. It's really good for the hips. But any one of those three variations, we're gonna sit in, excuse me. We're gonna sit in, and let's do a mudra, which is a hand yoga pose. So we're going to take the pointer fingers and thumb, and we're gonna interlace them like a figure eight. The middle fingers are gonna touch, and then the ring and the pinky we're gonna fold down, so that way the middle of the knuckles touch, okay? This is one for the solar plexus. This is one for the solar plexus. So if you feel like you want to have the fingers pointing up or pointing down, that's irrelevant. But it does help with the willpower. It does help with finger dexterity. And that's really good for people who might feel osteoporosis or arthritis. And so when you get that hand mudra, just gently close your eyes. And I want you to start with a deep inhale, feeling it at the base of your spine. I want you to try to visualize your breath going from your nose through the space behind the hard palate, going down your throat, filling up the lungs in your chest, filling up your belly. Try to see if you can inhale all the way to the base of your spine. And then exhale in reverse, nice and slow, using control. We want to expand and deepen our breath. In the eightfold path of Patanjali, pranayama is one of the paths. Prana being the Hindu variant of chi, so our life force energy. Yama actually comes from the first path of the eightfold path. Yama is Sanskrit for restraint. So we breathe into parts of our body that feel restrained, that feel limited. I want you to feel how your breath moves up and down along your spine, as well as through the chakras. But as you deepen and slow your breathing, I want you to observe how your energy goes from the spinal cord out towards the extremities, out past our body into the auric fields. And as you exhale, you feel it coming back towards the center line, back towards the spinal cord. By visualizing this route with our breath, we allow the energy to follow the neurotransmitters or follow the nadis. Nadis is another word for meridians, the channels in which our neuroreceptors lay. This form of meditation allows you to have a deeper sense of proprioception, knowing where your body is in space. Before we begin to bring movement into our practice, I want you to focus a little moment on each of your vertebrae, starting from the sacrum, where the bones or the vertebrae are fused together in an upside down triangle. Then you begin to bring your attention up through each vertebrae, gaining an awareness and an understanding of the gentle curvatures that are natural within our spine. Feeling in the lumbar how our spine curves towards the belly button, and then it curves towards the back as we get into the thoracic cavity, the thoracic vertebrae between our shoulders. Then again, you will begin to feel how our cervical vertebrae have a slight curvature back towards the belly button, towards the tip of the nose. Now, with this general sense of integration and communication with the vertebrae in your spine, let's go through starting at the base of our hips once more and just scan our vertebrae. If we have the fleeting image or the sensation using any of our clear senses that a vertebrae is jutted to the left or jutted to the right, take a moment to pause there with that vertebrae and envision all of the neuroreceptors meeting in that area, creating more energy, focusing on a one-centered focus. And just imagine that vertebrae sliding back into spot. Let's release our mudra, and we're going to start rolling the shoulders towards the back. Karen, give me a heads up. Can you hear the music? No. Okay, it might be a little soft then. Let me just check in. Once you're done circling your shoulders in one direction, circle them towards the other direction. We're gonna bring the left hand to the left shoulder, right hand to the left side of the head, and then we're just using our hands to act as a weight, creating a stretch. Then to deepen this pose a little, take your chin down towards the opposite armpit and put your hand closer to the occipital lobe, closer to the back of your head. Feel it reach more into the trapezius, closer to your spinal cord. Now we're going to start bringing the chin up towards the sky. And then we move the hand on the side of the head over to the temple. Exhale, release. Let's take that hand and do really big lubricant movement throughout the shoulder cavity. 3 big circles in one direction. Then we're going to take it in the opposite direction. Let's take that hand and cross it across the body. Use the other hand just to press it into your chest. Once you get there, you want to drop that shoulder away from your ear so that the stretch goes down into the deltoid. Hi, Diana. Sorry I didn't see you in the waiting room. We're getting started with just the shoulder exercise. You just missed the meditation. Exhale, release that hand. We're going to take right hand to right shoulder, left hand to the right ear, and we create space in our neck. We want to gently warm up our vertebrae today. We want to create cohesion and ease of communication between our head and our lower body. We take 3 big breaths here just to observe where our neck is at. What happens to our breathing when we're in this pose? Then we're going to exhale, release the chin down to the opposite armpit. We're going to bring our hand more towards the occipital lobe, towards the back of the head, and we use those hands to act as a weight. Now as we inhale, let's let the chin raise towards the sky. The hand comes over more towards the temple, and we allow the hands to act as a weight. We want to observe, is there any difference when we move our chin? Do you feel how the stretch goes more towards the trapezius muscles than out towards the clavicle as we switch the head from side to side? Exhale, release. Let's take that hand and we're going to do lubricating circles, 3 big ones. Once you get to your chest, we're going to switch the direction, opening up the shoulders. When you come back to center, we're going to have it cross across the body. The opposite hand grabs to press it in towards the heart. Then we begin to focus on dropping the shoulder away from the ear. Observing when you did this, when you started to come into your practice, and incorporate movement? Did you allow your hips to shift? Or did you keep your abdomen zipped up and the alignment through each of those vertebrae? Exhale, release. We're going to take left hand up and behind the head. Right hand grabs the elbow, and then you allow a stretch. I'm hyper flexible in this way, so you don't have to come as far as me. If you're just here, that's fine. We're stretching out the trapezius. We're stretching out, sorry, not the trapezius, the triceps. And we're stretching out that deltoid. Exhale, release the hands. Let's bring the other hand over to the shoulder, and then we grab the elbow and we stretch. Press your head into those triceps, into your arm, and it creates a deeper stretch. Exhale, release. Let's do some big circles in the shoulders. I hope you guys feel more energy. I hope you feel some release from the back of your neck. I hope you feel the weight of your shoulders is releasing. Okay, we're gonna be on our knees for a minute here just so we can get a deep extension into our oblique muscles. So take the left hand and walk it out. You want to really focus on the hip, pushing down towards the sky. Right hand arches over, and we want to continue to keep that hip pointing towards the ground. The other hand, we have the palm facing down, and then if you can bring that elbow to the ground. Getting a nice oblique stretch here. Following the heart meridian from the pinky to the hip. Inhale, let's come up. We're going to walk the right hand out and away from us. Press the hip down towards the ground. Left hand arches over, palm towards the ground. And then come to the elbow if you can. Follow the heart meridian from the pinky to the elbow, into the armpit, and down to the hip. Feel the extension. Feel the stretch of the oblique muscles. This pose also helps out our intracostal muscles, which are the muscles that help the movement of our diaphragm. So make sure to take really big breaths here, really slow down your breathing. Inhale, let's come up. Let's come onto our hands and our knees. I'm just going to turn to the side. Hands and our knees. We want to make sure shoulders over the wrist. If you have weak wrists, take fists. That's completely fine. Knees are underneath the hips, and we're going to do some cat-cows. So when you inhale, you drop the belly down towards the ground. You get a really nice stretch through this lower back right here. When you exhale, you arch your back towards the sky. You feel your belly draw in towards the back. You tuck your chin into your chest. You might feel some release in that sacrum of the fused bones. And we're going to do 3 of those with our breath. One last one in either direction. Let's take the right leg up. We're going to do 3 big circles in each direction, lubricating the hip joint. When you've done it in one direction, you come back in the other direction. Try to keep the movement isolated to the hip. Good. When you've done 3 circles on either side, we're going to take the other leg and do it the same way. And we bring the movement to the other direction. All right, we're going to come down. We're going to bring one foot in through our hands to set up a low lunge. We're going to send the hips forward, and then we bring up our hands. Is my music getting too loud, or are you guys okay? Kind of, I'll lower it a little bit. It's starting to like get up towards the.
Yeah, no, from my end, it's very like just sporadic little choppy bits. You don't really hear the music. It's like,
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know about someone else, but that's
It's
what I
like a
hear.
lot of.
It's like people talking almost, it's just little bits of spurts of sound. I don't know why.
Interesting. So you can't hear like the flutes or anything in the back? Oh, I'm sorry. Next time I'll choose a different type of music style. See if that has a better outlet. Okay, so low lunge, we're just stretching out the psoas. We're stretching out our inner thighs, but we're strengthening this bent leg, okay? We want to push the ground away so that way our form is really good here. I'm going to have us go into Surya Namaskara A, or not A, sorry, Surya Namaskara C. I really enjoy Surya Namaskara. It's very therapeutic, and it's really good for those who struggle, like in Surya Namaskara A or B, Sun Salutation A or B, where they struggle with bringing their head up and kind of getting a head rush. So I really like using Sun Salutation C just to make it more feasible for everyone to have a little bit more fluid in their class, okay? So we're going to take this back leg. We're going to push ourselves forward into a forward fold. The first time we do this sequence, we're going to go nice and slow, just so we can focus on the body movements. Imagine lengthening the fibers of your leg, having the heels push towards the ground, and having a nice release in your lower back. Exhale, we're going to step the other foot back. So we're in a high lunge first. You're focusing on that back heel stretching away and the toes gripping the ground for you. With this foot, that is the standing foot that has the whole level of your foot on it. Separate your toes so you engage your arch in your foot. It'll activate the muscles on the front side of our leg, and it allows you to get deeper into the pose. allows you to have more strength and more structure so that way you're not overdoing this knee joint, okay? Exhale, drop the back knee down, toes go to the ground, and then we're going to come in that low lunge on the opposite side. Exhale, let's send our hips over the back knee. We're not trying to sit down. We're just trying to have our hips over the knee. We slide that front leg forward if we need to. Then we walk our hands forward and down. We still want to imagine the lengthening of the fibers in our leg. This intensifies our hamstring stretch. Then the forward fold. Curl the back toes. We're going to press ourselves up into a forward fold again. Allow your body to hang if you want to take gorilla pose and put your palms facing up underneath your feet and send your elbows out, you can do so. But if you're at the variation where you can only take your hands and your elbows and swing into a forward fold, that's okay too. Both of them are going to help release the lower back. Okay, we're stepping that foot back, the opposite that we just did. So for me, it's my right leg. My left leg is up, high lunge. We can go into a crescent pose here, first and foremost, okay? So our chest comes up, we engage the abdominals. You see how right now my belly's just flat, right? My hip is really down, but it's almost a hyperextension. I engage my belly and it draws this hip up. So it's not in a hyperextension, but it's still getting a stretch. Hands rise towards the sky and that back heel presses back. So we're really stretching out the back leg. Hold for 3 big breaths. Good. Exhale, sink your back knee down towards the ground, hands to the low leg, and we're coming into a low lunge. Exhale, send the hip back into a runner's lunge. Let's get that hamstring. Walk our body forward and down. Toes are flexed towards the face. Now, I'm going to add one pose into the Surya Namaskar C, into Sun Salutation C. It doesn't go there, but it is a great transition. So as we push our hips forward, we walk the foot towards the opposite hand and come down in our pigeon pose. When we're in pigeon pose, we want to make sure that we don't sit like this. This is kind of taking it cheap. It also shows that you have a tight sciatic nerve. But what we need to do if we're sitting on one sit bone, if we're sitting on one butt cheek, is we need to rotate the hips in. If you try rotating the hips down and you can't get there, take the front foot closer to your hip. So that way the goal is to try to get your hip to touch your heel. If that's still difficult for you and you're getting a lot of sciatic cramping in this back leg, feel free to cock it a little bit. And then you can just go like this. You can take your foot up and you can just practice weaving into it, okay? So take 3 big breaths here. Have that chest up because in our sun salutation right now, we're picking up the heart. We're drawing the energy away from the legs into the upper body. Inhale. We press our hips up. We walk the foot back into its place. Back toes curl. And we push up. Ooh, I fell. We push up into a forward fold. All right, Surya Namaskar on the opposite side. You guys ready for it? We're getting a little deeper into the sun salutation. Left foot, I'm stepping back. If you're in the same alignment as me, that's cool. Let's start off first. We want to spread those toes on the standing foot. So we have a nice foundation. We're sending the energy up towards the knee. So that way we don't cause any knee injuries here. Back foot presses out the heel. So that way we get a nice stretch. Then we start bringing our torso up. When you do that, look at how my hips sit. Ready? This is just letting my belly be. And then when I set the intention of drawing the abdominals up, it shifts this whole tilt of the hip. So that's how we know we practice the hips. Take your hands up towards the sky. 3 big long breaths. Exhale, we sink that back knee down towards the ground. Low lunge, hands come to the knees. La belleza de la vida, usando en esta tierra, la concentración de la flor que perdón, la belleza de la vida. All right, guys, we're gonna send the hips towards the back foot. We extend the front foot forward, flex the toes towards the face, walk the hands forward and down. En esta tierra va vibrando el corazón, senderito de la punta se pegando al monte, es el agua que se integra y fecunda el corazón. All right, bring the hips forward again briefly into a low lunge as we shift the foot to the opposite hand and come into that pigeon pose. Remember the cues last time, make those adjustments, listen to your body. That is the truth of yoga. Having the mind-body connection, silencing the mind of, oh, well, the yoga teacher does it this way, or, oh, the other students are doing it that way. When we silence that, we focus on, what is my brain saying about my body in this pose? That is yoga. Yoga is the unification of the different layers of our experience. All right, let's bring the foot back up into its place. Scooch it over to the correct hand. Curl the back toes, press up into a forward lunge. I hope you guys are doing good. You guys look great in your poses, well, the ones that I can see. We're going to do one more round of Surya Namaskar C, okay? Sun Salutation C. So just allow your body to take a moment to breathe here. Deepen and elongate. All right, guys, last time. Step the foot back. I'm stepping the right one back. I slide my front foot forwards just to make sure I'm in my correct alignment. I feel really good, active in my pose. Then I start to bring up my torso. Instead of going into a crescent pose, we raise the hands, yes, for a minute, but this time we're gonna try and do a twist. So you're going, for me, I have my right leg back. I'm rotating to the right, so my right hand comes forward, and I try to bring the elbow to the inner thigh. If you can, you place it down on the ground. I'm going to show you guys a yoga pose. It's not something that you have to do right now, but what I want to try to show you and encourage you is why these foundations are so important, so that way it motivates you to go to the harder poses, okay? If you do want me to teach you this pose today, we could take a moment to do that before going to the other side, but first just watch before we make that decision, okay? So we're in this pose. If you want to go into an arm balance, it's really easy from this side. You take this other hand and you bring it about a little step back, about a foot back, and you bring your hip onto the elbow, and then you allow your body to cock over, walk the feet out, and then you bring your feet up. Okay? So again, we don't have to practice it, but I'm just showing you to encourage where we can go. All right. I know that's kind of intense. Let's drop that back knee down to the ground. Come into your low lunge. Another variation. We're building upon each sun salutation, right? Let's take this back foot towards the bottom. If you have knee issues, be careful. Put a pillow underneath your knee. But when we do this, we don't want to bring the booty to the foot. We want to bring the foot to the booty. That's going to get your nice quadricep stretch. Okay. Exhale, release. We're going back into a pigeon pose, so cross the foot over. Set your hips down. This time, instead of having the torso up, we're going to walk our chest forward and down, coming into the more restorative version. Inhale, let's come up. I don't think we did this time runner's lunge, so let's walk that foot back. Send the hip back. Toes point towards the face. Runner's lunge, drop the chest forward and down. Okay, guys, today's peak pose for the yoga class is a split. It's called Hanumasana. Hanuman is a great deity in Peru who teaches you about about humility, about devotional service. A really beautiful deity in moral conduct, right? So It's just a split. Very powerful pose. We're going to start sliding the front foot forward. If this is as far as you can go in a split, put some pillows under you and take 3 big breaths. But if you can keep going into the pose, then you just want to see where you are. Look, I'm not even down to the ground, but if this is where you are in your yoga pose, be here too. That's fine. If you could get all the way down, take 3 big breaths. All right, ready? We're coming up. We're sliding back into that runner's lunge. Curl the back toes. Press yourself up for a forward fold. Shake your legs out if you need to. Hanumansana is a very big pose. All right, guys, opposite side. We step back into that high lunge. Separate the toes so that way we're with a lot of energy and we protect that knee joint by activating the arch. Once you're ready, bring your chest up. A quick what you call it, crescent pose, just so you feel you're stacked, and then we twist. Good. Again, I'm going to demonstrate that pose just so we see it, because it's easier to see how you get into that, and for anyone who watches this later who does want that variation. This is how you would get into that. Okay, just for anyone else who's watching and that wants to do that, you would have your elbow make contact to your hip, and then the feet come out as the head goes down. We're in our twist. Let's bring that back leg down. Low lunge, hands come up to the knee. Once you feel like your foundation is nice and set and your hips are okay, if you'd like to, you can bring that back foot up and you want to try and pull it towards the booty. All right, guys, release the foot with control. Walk the front foot towards the opposite hand, our pigeon pose. Once you feel like you have that alignment in your hips, begin to walk your chest forward and down. We're taking 5 long Ujjayi breaths. Inhale, let's come up. Let's walk that foot back into our forward lunge. So we press the hips back into our runner's lunge, toes towards the face. Stretch forward and down before we go into our peak pose. Before we go into Hanumanasana, just sit here for a minute. Allow your hips, allow your hamstrings to elongate. Then when you're ready, you begin to slowly press yourself into a split. It's okay if on one side you do better than the other. That shows you where you're holding more tension, where you're holding more emotions, more thoughts. All right, guys, we're going to exhale this time. Bring the foot forward, okay? We're going to be down on the ground. We've got about 10 or 12 minutes left in class. So we're going to start our cool down practice. Hanumanasana is a great peak pose, very active. Now we're going to take care of ourselves and slowing that breath down. Okay. This might look silly, but this is called Dandasana, stick pose. So it allows you to see how's your posture. Do you roll those shoulders forward? Do you cave into your heart, into your organs? Do you roll onto the back of your seat bones? These are all important things to observe because if we're constantly trying to protect those organs, maybe we have chronic kidney problems or IBS or gastritis and things like that. And so our body kind of allows us to know what we're feeling by our posture. So when you do, you want to bring the shoulders back, lift the heart towards the sky. And once you feel that alignment in your seat bones, you might even need to take some skin away from the seat bones. Then we raise our hands towards the sky. When we do that, make sure you don't hike them up towards the ears. You want the shoulders down and away. Take 3 breaths. Just feel the activeness of our body. Feel the subtle movements of our muscles, of our bones, getting acquainted with better posture. Feel your intercostal muscles, hard at work, using your diaphragm. Exhale, forward fold. All right, we're gonna bring 2 fingers around the big toe. We've done a lot of work with the hip stick. We're gonna pull one foot back as if it's an arrow, okay? So we're just gonna do this 3 times, lubricating that hip joint. Last time, if you can, bring your foot to your ear, do so, okay? Practice, bring your foot to your ear. It might seem silly, again, to do these things. They're kind of childish, they look ridiculous, they might feel weird, but doing this movement, just something as subtle as just going like this and stretching your foot out, is really important for those harder poses of being able to get your foot behind your head, of being able to do different poses, right? So we want to focus on just these small movements and opening up that hip and getting into the sciatic, okay? Kind of challenging now. You're going to hold your foot and you're going to spread it high. You can also do it by having the foot in the opposite. If you want it a little bit more challenging, get the shoulder in and it will deepen the stretch. Exhale, release. Foot comes to the inner thigh. We twist the belly button over towards the opposite pinky toes. before we exhale forward and down. Inhale, let's come up, guys. Straighten that leg forward. Shake out your legs a little bit. All right, fingers around to the big toe of the opposite leg. Then we're going to do 3 arrows where we just pull it as far back and then we return it back to the space. Last one. Then we start to bring foot to the ear. Have it come out. Foot to the ear. Have it come out. 3 more, guys. Foot to the ear. All right, guys. Exhale. We're gonna put the foot to the inner thigh. We twist our belly buttons towards the pinky toe, and then we exhale forward down. Inhale, let's come up, you guys. Let's bring the feet together. Butterfly pose. Let's bring our chest forward and down. Inhale, let's come up, send legs out to either side. All right, before we go forward, let's do some more oblique stretches. Hand crosses the hip, and then we're going to reach over towards the opposite foot and down. Inhale, let's come back up, switch sides. Inhale, let's come back up. We're going to come forward, shake our legs out. Okay, we're going to hug our knees into our chest. Exhale, roll down along your spine. Do a couple of rocks and plates. Then you come to your back. You're going to have your fingers in your feet, and you're coming into happy baby pose. And you can roll from side to side, massaging your adrenal glands on top of your kidneys. Okay, let's place one ankle, one ankle on the knee. We're threading the needle and we bring the leg close to our chest. Getting a nice sciatic stretch. All right, we're gonna switch feet, thread the needle, and breathe. One thing I like doing, you see how this elbow, when you bring your leg close, it kind of comes to the knee? To get a deeper sciatic stretch, what you could do is you can actually press that elbow into the knee so that the knee is going out while the opposite knee comes in. It deepens that stretch for you. So just taking a few breaths. Okay. Then you guys can settle into Shavasana, corpse pose. Just taking a few breaths, observing how your body feels. How is your connectivity with your mind, body, and spirit? Take a brief observation through the sheaths or layers of your existence. Observance is the second part of the eightfold path of Patanjali. In Sanskrit, we say niyamas. So as you guys practice that observation, I'm just going to close the class today with a beautiful chant. It comes from the Ashaninka tribes in the center of the jungle of Peru. This little chant is about toucans, and in Ashaninka tribes, the toucan represents a messenger of God. So enjoy this little sound bath for you all today. Om Pampe, Hiroshimi, Om Pampe, Hiroshimi, Om Pampe, Hiroshimi, Om Pampe, Hiroshimi, Om Pampe. You can gently roll over to your right side, pressing up into a seated position. Or if you'd like to end class staying in a laid out Shavasana because you're in the comforts of your home, please stay there. But may we all connect with our ancestors, and we all must have hope for our future generations. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, little kitty energy.